EP1, the episode opens in Tokyo in 2021 and we see all the citizens being scared and residing in the camps where they are suffering from a war between a deadly virus named Gastria and the army. And this war has destroyed the whole place. Then we see that a giant mosquito monster is attacked by the army, and he falls on the ground near a boy named Rentaro Satomi. 10 years later, in Tokyo, Rentaro Satomi as a civil security officer is shown investigating the Gastria infection. In prison, he finds the prisoners dead by a mysterious masked man. He instantly attacks him, but the man seems very powerful. He kills 2 security guards and escapes through the window, saying he will destroy the world and no one can stop him. After that, he orders security to gather around the area. Then the scene shifts to Inju Ehara, a rabbit model initiator who seems angry at Rentaro claiming that she is his fiancée. As she is running, she runs into an injured man who asks for directions, but she realizes that he is infected with Gastria. Then all of a sudden he morphs into a giant Gastria spider and attacks her. Meanwhile, Rentaro and Inspector Tadashima arrives on the scene and shoots the spider, but he is not affected by the bullets. Then Rentaro tries some special bullets called black Varanium bullets on him and finds out that they are somehow effective. But after a while, Rentaro and Inspector Tadashima falls weaker, and Inju lands a super powerful hit on the spider and he destroys it. After that, she tells the inspector that she is Rentaro's initiator, and she is a bit injured during the fight. But Rentaro runs away to avoid her, and she runs after him. Here, Inspector Tadashima tells another guard that humans like Rentaro are the last hope of humanity. After that, Rentaro presents his mission report to his outstanding childhood friend Kasara Tendo, and is severely taunted for having failed to collect the company's payment for assisting the Tokyo police. After all, she asks her about his current life goals and reminds him that when he was a kid you used to say that my parents are still alive, I will find them, but Rentaro avoids the topic and asks her to go home with him, but she reveals that she has to go have a hemodialysis. Later that night, Rentaro has dinner with Inju when they watch the news on TV. Next, he visits his teacher, Sumire Moroto, and learns that the source of the recent Gastria infection may be using a camouflage ability to avoid detection. Rentaro reflects on humanity's war against the virus, and their last hope for survival the next day after dropping Inju off at school. EP2, the Ministry of Defense summons Tokyo's best civil security agencies at the request of Seitenshi, the ruler of Tokyo. Hence, Rentaro and Kaisara, being a member of the Tendo Security Agency, go to the ministry where he sees many officers gathered with their initiators. But before they could join them, they are interrupted by the promoter, and he is kicked out by his boss. Therefore, they sit at the meeting table, and Kaisara informs him about the power of the guy by whom they were interrupted. After a while, the senior officer arrives before starting the job explanation. He tells all of them that if someone wants to decline the job, leave immediately, because once they learn about the job, they won't quit. After that, he starts a live session with Seitenshi, who commands the agencies to exterminate a specific Gastria creature and recover a briefcase contained within it. Meanwhile, the mysterious masked man suddenly appears in the meeting room and introduces himself to all of them. Then he shows his intentions of using the case's material, the inheritance of 7 stars, to destroy the whole of Tokyo. And his daughter as his initiator also joins him there. All the security shoots him, but the bullets are stopped due to a protective shield around him, and shoots the bullets back, which kills many of the civil security officers. Before leaving, he leaves a gift box for Rentaro. At the moment, the secretary of the president of OO's corporation says that the president has been murdered and his head is missing. As the blood leaks out of the box, Rentaro realizes that his head is kept inside the gift box. Later in the evening, Rentaro and Inju wear the same friendship band which stops each other to deceive them. And while going home, they encounter a cursed child who was being chased by shopkeepers on account of stealing goods. She asks for help from Inju, but Rentaro stops her. Then she is taken by the police. On Inju's emphasizing, Rentaro goes to rescue her, but he finds out that she is shot by the police, but she is alive. After that, Rentaro runs into Kagatane Haruko and is offered to join him, but he refuses. The next day, Kagatane Haruko spreads the rumor in Inju's school that she is a cursed child, so the principal sends him home. He rushes toward the home and checks everywhere but cannot find her. After he checks all the places where the cursed child lives, but to no avail, at last, he goes to the place where he finds a Matsuzaki who takes care of the cursed children and teaches them to act normal. He asks him about Inju. She says he hasn't seen her and suggests he get a new initiator, but he yells that he cares about Inju, so he is worried for her and leaves. Then the man asks hiding Inju whether she wants to let such a nice guy go or not, but she does not say anything and cries. EP3, Rentaro discusses the Gastria in detail with his teacher Sumire Moroto and learns that the cursed children are the abandoned children, so Inju does not know anything about you. He gets aggressive on it and leaves the place. While returning home, he receives a call from Inju's home teacher informing him about the arrival of Inju in the school. He quickly rushes to the school and sees Inju being ridiculed by her fellow students. Then he suggests she change schools, but she feels sad. At the moment they are taken in a helicopter to the location of Gestria to kill him. After they reach the location, Inju quickly jumps on Gestria from the helicopter and attacks the Gestria. This makes Rintaro worried about her, and he also jumps from the helicopter after her. However, she easily kills Gestria and the case comes out of his body. Then Inju bursts into tears and says she protected everyone in the school, but they are not accepting me as their friend. Then he promises that he will always stand by her. But before they could take the case back to the ministry, they are ambushed by Kagate and his initiator Kohina Haruko, who is a Mantis model initiator. Rintaro and Inju fight them but fall weak in front of them. Rintaro orders Inju to run away, and he is shot by Kagate several times and then brutally cut by Kohina. Later, Rintaro wakes up in a hospital and is welcomed by Kaisara on returning to his life, and tells him that they are given information that the case contains a catalyst to summon a stage 5 Gestria, and Kagate has escaped the monolith barrier into. Then he decides to pursue the mission again and stop Kagate, and his teacher gives him a bag full of modern weapons. After attending the meeting, Rintaro and Inju set out on their mission. First, they go to an unexplored territory to find and kill Kagate. Here, they encounter a deadly stage 4 Gestria. However, they escaped and explore a room in the forest. They both get attentive to check the room. Upon checking, they find an initiator of Akuma Shojin named Kao who knew Rintaro, and her arm was bleeding. Therefore, Rintaro treats his injury and bandages her, while Inju, being uncomfortable, sits outside the room. Here, Rintaro asks the girl why she has been using explosives in the forest. She reveals that her promoter forced her to kill a pair of promoters and initiator because he never wants the reward to go to another hand. Hearing this, Rintaro feels so sad and shouts at her that how could it be normal to kill people without any reason, and she is touched by his words. Afterwards, the three continue to walk in the forest to find Kagate. EP4, the forest was full of Gestria, so Kao stayed here to kill them while Rintaro and Inju headed into the Bay Area. Upon reaching there, Rintaro and Inju discover that all other civil security officers, along with Akuma Shojin, are brutally slaughtered, and all of a sudden Kagate and Komina appear standing on the top of the building, while Kagate says, "Let us finish Rintaro Satomi." On the other hand, they are being watched live by the ministry workers and the ruler with his supervisor. She calls Kaisara, the president of Tendo Security, to learn about the success rate of his pair, which is Rintaro and Inju. She assures them that his pair will win whatever the situation would be and explains to them that her parents were devoured by Gestria, and due to his attack he got her kidneys badly damaged. Then she was saved by Rintaro Satomi. After that, he was taken to Action 22. Here, Kagate attacks Rintaro with a maximum pain shield, but using artificial Varanium-made limbs, he breaks the shield and lands a hit on Kagate, which angers Komina, and she attacks Rintaro. Then Kagate urges him to join in starting a new Gestria war, but he instantly refuses. Then Inju attacks him but fails to damage him. Then Kagate shoots him in the abdomen, and he falls with heavy bleeding from his abdomen and thinks that he is going to die, but on the verge of death. He uses Sumaire's experimental AGV drug to successfully regenerate his body, and then, using his Varanium-made weapons, he becomes successful to kill Kagate. After that, his daughter as his initiator busts into tears, and Rintaro tells Inju that she is no equals more our enemy. Here, the management team tracks the information that Kagate is defeated. The news spreads out rapidly and everyone seems so joyful. Following that, a Stage 5 Gestria appears outside the Tokyo area, and Kasara directs Rintaro to fire the Heaven's Ladder railgun. Unfortunately, due to several errors, Rintaro is forced to use his Varanium arm as a shotgun slug and manually fire the weapon, successfully destroying the Gestria. After defending the area for his sake, Rintaro discovers Kao on the verge of death and ends her life with a quote. Later, Rintaro tried to accuse Kikunojo Tendo of monitoring Kagate's actions. Rintaro calls into question Seitenchi about Gestria's origins in the epilogue, but she refuses to reveal any information. Rintaro then gives Inju the results of her Gestria corrosive environment investigation, which show that everything is fine. But, unknown to Inju, her rate of corrosion far exceeds what Rintaro predicted.